Testimony sent by a follower. Let me tell you what happened to Carla. Carla moved into the house on Fenwick Road in October, which she later said was the first mistake. Not because of the season, not because of the price that was somehow $15,000 under market value, but because of the man across the street named Edmund, who she noticed on her very first night, standing in his upstairs window, completely still, watching her carry boxes through her front door. She told herself it was nothing. People get curious about new neighbors. She waved at him once. He didn't wave back. He just turned away slowly, and the light in his window went off. The second week, Carla noticed the light came on every single night at exactly 2:47 a.m. She knew the time because it was waking her up, this pale yellow glow bleeding through her curtains right onto her ceiling. She started keeping a journal about it the way anxious people do when they need to convince themselves they aren't crazy. November 3rd, November 4th, November 5th, same time every night without fail. She asked her neighbor Paula about Edmund. Paula went very quiet for a moment and then said that Edmund had lived alone for about 6 years, ever since his wife disappeared. Nobody really talked about the wife. Her name had been Rosie. Paula said the police came twice and found nothing, and eventually everyone just stopped asking questions because Edmund was polite at the hardware store and shoveled his walkway, and that seemed to be enough for a small town. Carla went home and sat with that information for a long time. On a Thursday night in late November, she could not sleep, and at 2:46 she was already awake, already watching the ceiling. And when Edmund's light clicked on, she made a decision that she openly admits was not smart. She grabbed her phone, went to her own dark window, and she looked directly across the street into his. Edmund was standing at a table. There was something on the table. She couldn't make out what it was from that distance, so she opened her camera and zoomed in, and her phone nearly dropped out of her hands. It was a chair. A small wooden chair, the kind made for a child, and Edmund was just standing over it with both hands resting on the back of it, head bowed, completely motionless. He stood like that for 11 minutes. Carla timed it because she could not look away. Then he lifted his head, looked directly at her window in the dark, and turned the light off. He could not have seen her. Her light was off. She was standing back from the glass. She told herself that too. The journal entries get worse after that. She started finding things on her porch in the mornings. A single dried flower, a button, a length of thin white ribbon tied around her door handle one morning like a gift waiting to be opened. She never saw him place any of it. She called the non-emergency police line, and the officer who came out said there was nothing he could do, that it wasn't technically a crime to leave flowers. And he said it with the particular tone of someone who did not want to be involved. In December, Carla was coming home late from work, and she saw Edmund's front door was wide open. It was 19 degrees outside. The door was just open, rectangle of yellow light spilling out onto the snow, and without any real explanation for why she did it, she walked up to his porch and looked inside. The front room was full of small wooden chairs. Dozens of them, lined up in rows facing a single larger chair at the far end of the room, all of them empty, all of them the size made for a child. And on the wall behind the large chair, covering it completely from floor to ceiling, were photographs. Carla could not see them clearly from the doorway. She stepped inside 1 foot, just 1 foot, to try to see. They were all photographs of the same little girl. Carla ran. She drove to a motel 40 minutes away, and she called the police from there, and this time she did not call the non-emergency line. When officers went to Edmund's house the following morning, the chairs were gone. The photographs were gone. Edmund answered the door in a bathrobe and told them he had no idea what the woman across the street was talking about. They searched the house and found nothing unusual. They found no evidence of Rosie either, the missing wife, which was not new information. Carla never went back to the house on Fenwick Road. She broke her lease and she left, and she says she is fine now and she mostly means it. Nobody has ever found Rosie. Nobody has ever explained the little girl in the photographs. And every night at 2:47, somewhere in that house, a light still comes on. If these shadows reached out to you tonight, follow us for more.